Hey, Noah Tichy here for Gearspace. Today I'm going to introduce you to a small but potentially indispensable tool for anybody who works with audio of any kind. But before we go any further, can you hear that? That awful noise might sound familiar to you. Maybe that's what brought you here in the first place. Over the course of this video, I'm going to explain where this noise comes from. I'm also going to tell you a little more about the tool that I alluded to earlier, the IL-19 Extreme Hum Fighter by Sescom. By the time we wrap up, I will put the Hum Fighter to the test and see if it lives up to its name. Does it actually fight the hum? To return to our problem, here's that hum again. Specifically, it is a ground loop hum. I'm going to break this concept down into its three constituent parts: ground, loop, and hum. The ground in ground loop hum refers to the fact that the source of the noise is traveling along the grounding infrastructure in my audio and electrical system. Class 1 appliances have a third prong that connects to the ground as a safety feature. The ground is this little round hole here, and its purpose is to conduct excess electricity and send it literally into the ground. Most amplifiers are class 1. I recall playing through an amp in high school that did not have a third prong, but I suspect now that it might have been removed after manufacture. It would occasionally deliver a static shock, so it makes sense that it probably needed that ground connection in order to dispel excess current. Anyway, the grounds of these different terminals are connected on their way to the earth, and there's likely to be a small voltage difference between them because of leakage currents and cable resistance. Whichever mains outlet has the higher voltage, let's say it's this one, will force a small current to flow from that wall socket's ground terminal into the amp I've plugged into it. From there, it can travel through this balanced audio cable into this other amplifier, and then back into the ground via this other terminal. So while the purpose of the ground is to act as a one-way trip for excess electricity from my amp to go back into the earth, it will not quite work the same when I introduce a second class 1 device into the system and connect them to one another via a balanced audio cable. And that is the origin of the loop in ground loop hum, which refers to the fact that we've got two different connections to the same ground wiring in two different class 1 audio devices that are also connected to one another via a balanced audio cable, thus creating this loop. The hum in ground loop hum refers to the way in which the current is manifest audibly. Like I said before, we're dealing with a small current, but audio signals tend to be quite small currents, so it doesn't take much to get noticeable noise. We hear this current as a 60 Hz buzz because alternating current in the US cycles 60 times per second. If we were in Europe, we might hear it as a 50 Hz buzz because alternating current in Europe cycles 50 times per second. Now, whatever the pitch, we don't really want it, so let's turn now to getting rid of the ground loop hum. The simple solution to this relatively convoluted problem is that we have to break the loop. That amp I used in high school, the one missing the ground connection, would have broken any potential ground loop, so maybe that was why someone removed the prong to begin with. But you don't really want to mess around with the power supply end of the system. Not only is it more complicated than it needs to be, it's also dangerous. Instead, you can break the ground loop on the audio side of the system. This balanced cable here is conveying the problem current that is causing our ground loop hum. All you have to do to break the loop is disconnect the ground here, and that is where the IL-19 Extreme Hum Fighter comes in. Essentially, this little device is equipped to address three sources of noise at once, whether it's breaking the ground loop that I'm struggling with, or addressing mode noise, or differentially induced hum. You've got everything you need in one device. You've got a bidirectional inline XLR male to XLR female matching transformer that is specifically engineered for flatter and broader frequency response, which allows for a hotter signal throughput without saturation, and it's built into a high-impact ABS thermoplastic housing. It's a little like a Swiss Army knife for hum. Regardless of what is producing it, you have the tool on board to fix it. Now here are some additional specs in case you'd like to pause the video, take a screenshot, and peruse those at your leisure. And now, at long last, let's put it to the test. Will the IL-19 Extreme Hum Fighter prevail over the Hum? Here we have the setup without the IL-19, and here we have the setup with the IL-19. Here it is again without. And here it is with. One last time without. One last time with. Now, this was a simple test that I conducted in my home studio where I purposely don't have a lot of noise issues. That said, the moment you find yourself in an unfamiliar place doing live sound or a performance of any sort, I could see having one or multiple of these in your back pocket as feeling a little like carrying a first aid kit, where you hope you don't need to use it, but you're really glad you have it if you do need to use it. There are very few reliable quick fixes in life in general, and far fewer in audio. So the IL-19 Extreme Hum Fighter is a real gem, and something to be kept where you can find it easily in case the need for a quick fix arises. That does it for my exploration of the IL-19 Extreme Hum Fighter by Sescom. I hope this video has been useful to you, and I hope that if it has, you'll give it a like, you'll subscribe to the Gearspace Forum YouTube channel, and you'll hit the notification bell so that you'll know next time we put something out into the world. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.